Welcome to my channel. I hope you like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet this beautiful beanie hat for adult men and women. Now, the stitch that I used to make this hat is this beautiful leaf stitch pattern. It's absolutely beautiful and perfect for hats for men and women, so I hope you like it. Now, the hat that we're going to make in the tutorial, like I said, is for adult men and women, but you can also make it smaller or bigger from a newborn size and up to an adult extra large size. In the information box below, I'll go ahead and leave you some standard size measurements so that you can make your hat for any size, any age. So be sure to check that out. And as always, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's get started, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, to crochet this hat, this is the hook that I'm going to use. It's a 5.5mm hook. This is an eye hook, and I'm using this medium number 4 yarn. In the information box below, I'll go ahead and leave you the name of the yarn that I'm using and how much yarn I used to make this hat. So here to begin, I have 22 chains. This here is going to be my brim. Once it's done, I'm going to fold it like this. If you don't want your brim to be as wide, then don't make too many chains. Now here to begin, into the second chain from the hook, 1, 2, into the second chain here, make a single crochet into the next chain, and so on. For this first row, I'm just going to make single crochets. In the second row, we're going to start our single crochet herringbone pattern. So continue like this, just making single crochets, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished the first row. I have 21 single crochets. Now for the second row, chain 1 and turn. Now for the second row here, we're going to make a single crochet into the first single crochet. Now from here on, we're going to work our herringbone stitch pattern. So insert your hook into this stitch right here of the first single crochet, and through the back loop of the next single crochet, insert your hook and grab a loop. 3 loops on the hook, close. Now repeat the same thing. Go into this last stitch right here to the side and into the next single crochet through the back loop, grab a loop, 3 loops on the hook, close. This here is the single crochet herringbone stitch. Again, insert your hook to the side of this stitch into the next single crochet into the back loop, grab a loop, 3 loops, close. Again, to the side of this last stitch into the next stitch through the back loop, grab a loop, 3 loops, close. This is all I'm going to do to the end of this second row. I'm here at the end of the second row. Now for the third row, chain 1 and turn. Now for the third row, we're going to repeat the same thing we did in the second row. We always begin with a single crochet, and I'm going to insert my hook through both loops here at the beginning into this first stitch. So make your first single crochet there, and now we're going to begin our herringbone stitch. You're going to go into this stitch here to the side and into the next stitch, but make sure you go through the back loop only, grab a loop, 3 loops on the hook, close. Again, insert your hook to the side of this last stitch into the next stitch, grab a loop, 3 loops, close. Always go through the back loop of each one of these stitches. And this is how I'm going to make my brim. If you're following the measurements, this is going to be the head circumference. You can easily just try this on you once you have a couple more rows. Keep on trying it, and based on that, go ahead and try it on. The important thing here is that when you're making your brim, make sure that once it's done, it's in multiples of 2 or even number of rows. And that's all I'm going to do. Now, if you're making it for a child, I already have this same hat here for a child size, but if you're making it following this pattern, which you can, like I mentioned in the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you some standard size measurements. You can make it from a newborn size baby and up to an adult size, which is what I'm making here. I think the final hat size for me, it's going to be a medium adult because I'm making this for myself. So all I'm going to do here is just try this on my head, make sure that it's not too tight, and then continue on with the rest of the hat. But if you're making it for a small child, I don't think you need 20 chains here. You could probably do 10, but that would be up to you. So here we're just going to continue. Let me pull my yarn here because it's getting stuck. Now you can also make this brim the normal way, where you do single crochets just like we did in the first row, and then for every row you just make a single crochet into the back loop. It's the same way as this, except that we don't go into the last stitch. You just make a single crochet through the back loop of each stitch. It also looks nice. I just like the way that this here looks. It's a new stitch pattern that I learned. It's the single crochet herringbone stitch. I'm almost done here to show you what you're going to do for the next rows until you have the size that you want this to be. Here's my last stitch. Now here at the end, make sure you count, because sometimes it could be a little tricky. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. I'm missing one stitch. I'm glad I counted. So go to the side here, and here's my last stitch. There. Grab a loop, 3 loops, close, and here's the last stitch. I have 21 of these stitches. Now to continue, you're just going to chain 1 and turn, and then repeat the same thing. Into the first stitch, I like to go through both loops here at the beginning, grab a loop and make a single crochet. Now go into the side of the single crochet and into the back loop of the next stitch and make your herringbone stitch. That's all we're going to do here until you have the measurement that you need for the head circumference. I'm going to finish this, and then I'll come back and tell you how many rows I have for my hat and an approximate measurement of this part here. Now make sure that this here is in multiples of 2. So continue, finish your brim, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished making the brim. I did a total of 66 rows. Now this here, without stretching or anything, it's measuring about 20 inches, which is about 51 centimeters. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm making this hat for an adult with a head circumference of about 22 inches or about 56 centimeters. Notice that I did not make my brim in that length. I did it a bit shorter because this brim here is very stretchy. So make sure you just measure it around the head. That way you're going to get a more accurate head measurement. So now we're going to join here. Make sure that your brim is in multiples of 2 as well. If you're making this using standard size measurements, which I'm leaving in the information box, make sure that your brim is in multiples of 2. So here, to continue, I'm going to insert my hook here. This is the first row. This is a row of chain, and here's my last row, row 66. Now insert your hook through this first stitch here. I'm using the same hook size, it's just a different color here. Now grab a loop here, bring it through, chain 1. Now insert your hook back into the same stitch here and through the first stitch here, this last stitch that I did there, grab a loop and make a slip stitch. Now into the next stitch, insert your hook, and into the next stitch here in the back through both loops, grab a loop and make a slip stitch. This is how I'm going to join here, both sides. So continue, finish this part, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished joining both sides, and this is how it looks. Now here we're going to chain 1 there. Now what I'm going to do here is just make half double crochets all around, and I'm going to go into this row. See where the 2 rows join? There's a ridge right in the center, so I'm going to make 2 half double crochets right there. So beginning into this first ridge, make 2 half double crochets. Now into the next, 2 half double crochets. Here I want to finish with 66 half double crochets, which is the same number of rows. So that's all I'm going to do here all around. 2 half double crochets right where the 2 rows meet. I will meet you here at the end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished making this first row of half double crochets. I have 66 half double crochets. Now to finish, I'm going to go here on top of the first half double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to start the pattern. I'm going to use the leaf stitch pattern. It's a beautiful stitch. This is how it looks when it's done in one color. I'm going to make this hat here in two colors, so if you want to continue with just one color, then there's no need for you to attach the new color here. I'm going to be using this pink yarn here. So to do this, I'm going to grab a loop here and bring it through this loop that I already had in my hook. Now pull the yarn here and that loop is going to now close. Now I'm going to work with the pink yarn. So for the second row here, I'm going to chain one. Now here right into the same stitch where we joined, make a double crochet. Now we have the next half double crochet, so into the next half double crochet I'm going to work my leaf stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook like this as if you're making a front post double crochet. You're going to grab a loop, bring it through. I have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over again, insert your hook like this, grab a loop. I have 5 loops on the hook, 2, 4, 5. Now grab a loop and pull through 4 loops, grab a loop and pull through 2. Here's the leaf stitch. Now on top of the next half double crochet, make a double crochet. Now we have the next half double crochet, so we're going to work our leaf stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook like this, grab a loop, yarn over, insert your hook again, grab a loop. I have 5 loops on the hook. Take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off. Now on top of the next half double crochet, make a double crochet. And into the next half double crochet, work your leaf stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, grab a loop, yarn over, grab a loop, 5 loops on the hook. Take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off. On top of the next half double crochet, make a double crochet, and into the next, make your stitch. This is why we need multiples of 2 here for our row of half double crochet, so that this stitch here works out. And that's how it looks. Let me show you again. On top of the next half double crochet, make a double crochet. Into the next half double crochet, work like a front post double crochet where you bring a loop through, don't close, leave the loops there, yarn over, grab a loop again, 5 loops, take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off, a double crochet on top of the next half double crochet, and a leaf stitch into the next stitch. And this is all we're going to do all around. Continue. I will meet you at the end of this second row. I'm here at the end of this second row. This is the first row here of this pattern. Now at the end of this row, I have a total of 66 stitches. I have 33 of these leaf stitches and I have 33 double crochets. So that's a total of 66 stitches. Now to finish this row, we're going to go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now, if you're not changing color, you're just going to chain 1 here, and then we're going to work a leaf stitch into this first double crochet. But since I'm changing color here, I am going to grab the gray yarn here in the back, and I'm going to bring it through here, pull the pink yarn so that this stitch here closes, and now chain 1. Now, we have the first double crochet because in the first row we started with a double crochet. So in this second row to the pattern, which is the third row, I need to start with the leaf stitch because into each one of the double crochets we make leaf stitches, and into each one of the leaf stitches we make double crochets. So let me show you. Beginning into the first stitch here, which is a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, grab a loop, yarn over, grab a loop, 5 loops, take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off. Now on top of the leaf, make a double crochet, and into the next double crochet work your leaf. So yarn over, grab a loop, yarn over, grab a loop, 5 loops, take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off, on top of the leaf stitch a double crochet, and into the next double crochet a leaf stitch. So yarn over, grab a loop, yarn over, grab a loop, 5 loops, take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off, and so on. And that's how you're going to continue here for the 3rd row. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of this 3rd row. Now here at the end I finish with a double crochet on top of the last leaf stitch. Now to finish this row, go on top of the 1st stitch. In this case it's the leaf stitch, so make a slip stitch. And this is how I finish this 3rd row with a total of 66 stitches. Now for the next row, we're going to change yarn color again. So grab the pink yarn here and pull this loop here so that that stitch there closes. Now chain 1 with the new color. If you're not changing color, I already showed you, you just chain 1. Now here we're going to repeat the same thing we did in the 1st row. The only difference between these 2 rows is the way that you start each row. You're going to have to look and see how you started the previous row. In my case, I started with the pattern stitch here, the leaf stitch. So I know that I need to start with a double crochet because the next stitch here is a double crochet and I need to make the leaf stitch into each one of the double crochet. So let's begin. Make a double crochet on top of this first leaf stitch, and into the next double crochet work your leaf stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, grab a loop, yarn over, grab a loop, 5 loops, take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off, and on top of the next stitch, which is a leaf stitch, make a double crochet. And that's all you're going to do from here on, like this. Now continue like this all around for this 4th row. I'm going to come back and show you one more time how to finish each row and how to start the next row so that you can continue on your own and finish the hat. I'm here at the end of this 4th row. Now at the end I have 66 stitches. To finish this row, go on top of the 1st stitch. In this case it's a double crochet and join with a slip stitch. And here's the 4th row. Now from here on, like I said, these are the 2 rows that we're going to repeat. And really the only difference is the way that you start each row. If you started with a double crochet, you know that in the next row you're going to start with a leaf stitch. If you started with a leaf stitch, then you're going to start with a double crochet, just like we did in this row. So here, let me show you again. I'm going to change here to the gray. So grab a loop here in gray and pull this loop here, and now chain 1. Now since I started row 4 with a double crochet, I know that I need to start this next row with a leaf stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, grab a loop, yarn over, grab a loop, 5 loops, take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off. On top of the leaf stitch, make a double crochet, and into the next double crochet work your leaf stitch. 5 loops, take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off, double crochet on top of the leaf stitch, and so on. That's how you're going to continue all around for this 5th row, and you're just going to continue and repeat these 2 rows from here on. Now we're going to continue like this until we have about 2 inches left from the total height. Continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows that is going to be for me. Okay, I'm almost done with the hat. So far I have 9 rows, including the first row that we did of half double crochets. We have 9 rows, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Now my hat, as it is, it's measuring about 6 inches, which is about 15 centimeters, with the brim folded. Now we're going to start to shape the crown, and to shape the crown I'm going to use a slightly smaller hook size. I'm going to use this 4.5mm hook. Now if you're making this hat for a baby up to a child size, then go ahead and start doing this part when you have about 1 inch to 1.5 inches left from the total height. Now for larger sizes like an adult, small, medium, or large, or extra large, then go ahead and start to do this part here when you have 2 inches what's left from the total height. So to do this next part here, all we're going to do is just switch to a 4.5mm hook size here. If you're using any other hook size here, because with measurements you can do that, you can use any hook size with any yarn weight, then just go down a full hook size. For me, I'm going to do this part with a 4.5mm hook. So here I'm going to join the pink color and chain 1. Now I have to start this row with a double crochet on top, so just make a double crochet, and into the next double crochet I'm going to work my leaf stitch. And this is all I'm going to do for this row. This is going to be row 10. Here I'm going to place a stitch marker to mark the beginning of this row. Now continue all around, finish the 10th row, and then I'll meet you back at the end. I'm here at the end of the 10th row. Now to finish this row, we're going to go on top of the first stitch and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished this 10th row with a total of 66 stitches. Now for row 11, this is what we're going to do. Now here we're going to start to decrease. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join the second color, grab a loop and close that stitch, chain 1. Now to continue here, we're going to start to decrease, and this is what we're going to do. Make sure that if you're making your hat for any other size, that you have the same row here. The last row that you did is exactly how I did it, with the double crochet first and then the leaf stitch, because this part here is not going to work with the decreasing rows. So let's get started. I have a double crochet, so I'm going to make my leaf stitch here. I'm not going to close the leaf stitch. I'm going to show you why. So I have 5 loops on the hook, take 4 loops off, leave 2 loops on the hook. Now yarn over, go on top of the next stitch, which is the leaf stitch, and make a double crochet where you close your leaf stitch here. This is why it's important that you have the same row here as I do. Otherwise you would have to do the double crochet, don't close the double crochet, and then work the leaf stitch, and then when you make the leaf stitch you close the double crochet. So it's going to be a bit more confusing, but if you can manage, that's how you would do it. So let me show you again. You're going to yarn over into the next double crochet, work your leaf stitch, but don't close it completely. Take 4 loops only, leave 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go on top of the leaf stitch and make your double crochet where you close that leaf stitch. There, let me show you again. Yarn over, make your leaf stitch, take 4 loops off, leave 2 loops, yarn over, go on top of the leaf and make your double crochet where you close through the 3 loops. And this is how we're going to decrease here for this 11th row. Let me make a couple more so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm making my leaf stitch, taking 4 loops off, leave 2 loops, and then go on top of the next stitch and make a double crochet where you close that leaf stitch. And that's all I'm going to do here all around for this 11th row. Continue. I will meet you at the end of this row to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of this 11th row. This is where we did the first row of decreases. I have 33 stitches. Now to finish, go on top of the first stitch here and join with a slip stitch. And here is the 11th row with 33 stitches. Now for row 12, we're going to join the pink color here and chain 1. Now we have these stitches here that are now 1. We have the double crochet which was combined into the leaf stitch. Now we're going to work leaf stitches all around. So yarn over, insert your hook like this, like you're making a front post stitch, grab a loop, yarn over, insert your hook again, grab a loop. I have 5 loops, take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off. Now into the next stitch right here, do the same thing. Insert your hook like this, grab a loop, yarn over, grab a loop, 5 loops, take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off. Now this part here is the same how we did this part here, except that we don't make a double crochet in between the leaf stitches. We're just going to work leaf stitches here. We're treating these stitches that we did in the previous row as 1 stitch. This. Now at the end of this row, I'm going to be left with 33 stitches. This here is not a decreasing row, it's just a regular row where we make leaf stitches like this. Now continue all around. I will meet you at the end of this 12th row. I'm here at the end of this 12th row. This is where we did leaf stitches all around. I have 33 stitches. Now to finish this row, go on top of the first leaf stitch and join with a slip stitch. Now for row 13, we're going to change here to the gray yarn, chain 1, and now here this is going to be a row of decreases. So to do this, beginning into the first leaf stitch here, work a leaf stitch. So yarn over, grab a loop, yarn over, grab a loop, take 4 loops off, take 2 loops off. Now here's where the decreasing part comes. We're going to skip the next leaf stitch and into the next leaf, make your leaf stitch. So here we're just going to be skipping 1 leaf and into the next, make your leaf like this. There. Skip 1 and into the next, work your leaf stitch, and so on. Continue like this all around. I will meet you here at the end. I'm here at the end of this 13th row. I have 17 stitches. This last row that I did was a decrease row, so I have 17 of these leaf stitches. Now join to the beginning with a slip stitch. I'm going to make 1 more row. So here I'm going to grab the pink yarn, and with the pink yarn here, we're just going to work leaf stitches all around. This is not going to be a decreasing row. So chain 1, beginning here we have the first leaf stitch, so go around the front post there of that stitch and work your leaf stitch. Into the next, same thing. And into the next, same thing. And that's all I'm going to do here. At the end of this 14th row, I'm going to have 17 of these leaf stitches. Now continue like this all around. I will meet you at the end of this row. I'm here at the end of the 14th row. This is where we did leaf stitches all around. I have 17 at the end of this row. This last row here was not a decreasing row, so let me give you the measurement as it is. Now this part here is measuring, let's see, it's about 19.5 centimeters right now. I need this to be about 8 inches, so I still have a little bit more than a half a centimeter left from the total height. So I'm going to continue and make 1 more row here. I'm not going to decrease. I'm just going to work leaf stitches all around, and I'm going to switch here to the gray yarn. Now chain 1. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to work 1 more decrease row here. So beginning into this first leaf stitch here, work a leaf stitch. Skip 1 and into the next, make a leaf stitch. Skip 1 and into the next, make a leaf stitch. So continue all around like this, making leaf stitches where you skip 1 and into the next, make your leaf stitch. I will meet you at the end of this 15th row. I'm here at the end of the 15th row. I have a total of 9 leaf stitches. To finish, go on top of the first leaf stitch and join with a slip stitch. Now pull this loop, tie a knot, and cut your yarn. I've already cut my yarn here. Make sure you leave a nice long tail here, and we're going to now weave this end all around the top of the hat. So here we're going to go into the first, skip 1, into the next, skip 1, into the next, and so on. Here's the last stitch. Now insert this through the inside. Pull this end, and the top of the hat is closed. Now with this loop here, tie a knot. You can cut your yarn and just weave your ends, or weave your ends and then cut your yarn. The top of the hat is done. That's how it looks. Here's the finished hat. Let me remove this stitch marker. That's how it looks. Beautiful, perfect. That's the top. So here's the finished hat. Now I tried it on. It fits perfect on me. So this hat here is for an adult large size. In the information box, you're going to have standard size measurements from a newborn size baby, or actually it's for preemie size up to an extra large adult. So you can make this hat for any size, any age, using those measurements, which is what I did here. The important thing here is for you to make your brim in multiples of 2, and then along with the first row here of half double crochets, make sure it's in multiples of 2. And then you continue until you have about 2 inches left from the total height, and then start your decrease by using a slightly smaller hook size and then doing the decreases just like I showed you. So the hat is all done. You can add a pom-pom. I love these fur pom-poms. I purchased these from Amazon. So the hat is done. So you can do it in 2 colors or in 1 color, just like I did this other hat here. It's done exactly in the same way. Look how beautiful that stitch. Absolutely beautiful. And I already have a baby hat using the same stitch pattern, but I did it in gray and pink. Now, as always, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop in the information box below. Okay, so this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.